Even though at times it feels like we know everything about some celebrities, every once in a while we get a reminder that we really don't, and a lot of celebrities live double lives, showing one side of themselves to the public, while the other is only reserved for their closest friends or family. And with a lot of people on this list, you'll be shocked to learn that a lot of the time they were in the spotlight, they were hiding a whole different side of themselves. Hey, what's up everyone, it's Mackenzie here, and today on the channel I'm going to be filling you in on the top 10 celebrities with secret lives. And some of these, I have to admit, I completely forgot about until I started working on this list. But before we get into it, make sure to like and sub below. Also check out our playlist up there for other videos. So starting off at number 10, we have Tiger Woods. So back in 2009, Tiger Woods was at the top of his game, and he held the title of best golfer in the world. He also had a beautiful family with 2 kids and a loving wife. But it all changed when the National Enquirer accused him of having an affair with a nightclub manager. This then led Tiger to crash his Escalade into a neighbor's tree at 2 a.m. and he was charged for reckless driving. This then led to rumors that Tiger's wife, Elin Nordegren, knew of the affair and was physically attacking him for it and smashing his car. After all this came out, it got worse for the family when countless women came forward with their stories of sleeping with Woods, making it clear that Tiger was cheating throughout their picture-perfect marriage. A few months later, in February 2010, Woods came on television and made a statement about all of it, admitting he was unfaithful to his wife and he was going to be treated for a sex addiction. But because of all this, his golfing took a huge hit, and some of his biggest sponsors pulled the plug on him. And at number 9, CAITLYN Jenner. CAITLYN Jenner was known for many things over the last 2 decades, with her being a successful Olympic athlete and then the lovable and relatable dad of the Kardashian family on Keeping Up. But during all those years, CAITLYN was holding in a huge secret, and that was the fact that she identified as a woman practically her whole life. The situation started when Kris Jenner divorced CAITLYN in 2014, with the tabloids rumoring that CAITLYN was transitioning. But after months of speculation, CAITLYN set the record straight in July of 2015 and did an interview with Diane Sawyer, confirming that she was a woman. There was also a special on Keeping Up, where CAITLYN told her family of her new identity, and we got to see the family react to the news. And after all these years, it's great to see that CAITLYN now can live as her true self, but unfortunately some of the things she has said about her transition has caused her former Jenner family members to distance themselves. And at number 8, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber rose to fame as a teen idol and a bubblegum pop sensation. But this wholesome reputation didn't last as Justin got older, and he was caught starting fights, egging houses, and getting arrested for a DUI. Because of all the negative things about him in the press, he was banned from several countries and would leave his concerts early if people were annoying him. This caused some of his fans to turn on him, with him getting a water bottle thrown at his head during one performance. But after a few years with a bad reputation, he decided to turn it around in 2017, and he canceled a tour in order to spend more time attending church and making himself a better person. And now he's very outspoken about his dedication to God and makes it a center point of his life. And now that he's married, he seems to be on a better path. And at number 7, Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel is best known for creating one of the most recognizable luxury brand names ever. She was born in France in 1883. By the time she was 27, she owned a successful clothing store, and only 10 years later, she would release the little black dress and change the face of fashion forever. But while her brand was growing in the 1930s, France was taken over by Hitler's army, and many Parisians resisted the German invasion. But to the surprise of many, Coco was not one of those people, and she seemed to welcome the rules that the Germans were enforcing at the time. She even dated an SS soldier at one point, and although many say it meant nothing, there have been many rumors over the years that Coco was anti-Semitic. With one book called Sleeping with the Enemy, Coco Chanel's Secret War, the author alleges that Coco was actually a secret intelligence operative for the Germans. After the war, she fled to Switzerland, but she managed to come back to France later because she got funding from the wealthy Wertheimer family, who still control most of the company and do their best to avoid questions about Coco's relation to the Germans. And at number 6, TERESA GIUDICE. TERESA is best known for her messy antics on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and it seemed that ever since she was featured on the show, she was doing everything possible to prove her and her husband were uber rich. But the cracks started to reveal themselves pretty fast. It started when the couple filed for bankruptcy. Then a few years later, TERESA and her husband Joe were sentenced to jail after pleading guilty to fraud charges in 2014. After pleading, TERESA ended up serving 11 months of the 15-month sentence and came out of jail $11 million in debt. But her husband had an even worse fate and was released to ICE who later deported him back to Italy. And even worse, the couple ended up separating in 2019. And this is a classic case of what's called a duck, and that's someone who looks fine above water, but underneath their legs are kicking like crazy, and they're doing whatever they can to stay afloat and maintain that rich image. Halfway number 5, Amber Heard. If you watch I.O., then you definitely know about Amber Heard. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were married in 2015 after meeting on the set of The Rum Diary. But only a year later, the couple had divorced, and Amber requested a restraining order against Depp, citing violence and physical abuse. Then an explosive TMZ video came out showing Depp throwing a wine bottle and glass at Heard. She also submitted pictures to the court showing bruises on her face. After all this was exposed, everyone took Amber's side, and Johnny was blacklisted from Hollywood. But the story wasn't over yet, and voice recordings were later leaked showing that Amber was actually abusive to Johnny on many occasions, and Heard had actually been accused of domestic violence many times in her past, while Johnny's ex-girlfriends came to his defense, saying that he had never hurt them. Right now, they're involved in a lengthy court case with Johnny suing Heard for defamation, and a lot more is coming out, including the fact that she in their bed, and I wish I was joking, but I sadly am not. In number 4, Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer was one of the biggest news personalities on NBC for 2 decades, and he rose through the ranks of the organization very quickly, with the network paying him $25 million a year. And near the end, he was so powerful at the company, he could practically do whatever he wanted, and he'd get away with it. But his days on top came to an end in 2017, when Lauer was abruptly fired after tons of sexual allegations were revealed. According to Ronan Farrow, it started with one employee complaining he forced himself on her in a hotel room during the 2014 Olympics. Then shortly after, 3 more women came out. As well, he's accused of treating women like objects and just being an all-around bad guy with a smooth-talking facade. Lauer claimed it was all consensual, but of course he was let go from the company and is now disgraced in the industry. And at number 3, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen is one of the most beloved people ever, and before her huge scandal, she was one of the most well-known people on television. She was even nicknamed the Queen of Nice. But that all came crashing down in March of 2020, when Kevin T. Porter claimed that her niceness was all an act, and she was, quote, notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Then more people came out with their stories about Ellen, with one server saying she got fired because Ellen complained about her chipped nail polish. Then when the lockdowns happened, Ellen was one of the only shows that didn't pay her employees during the leave. Then tons of reports came out that Ellen's show had a toxic work environment, and top producers were accused of sexual conduct and racist behavior. She recently just came back on air, and time will tell if she can win back people's hearts. Based on the dislike ratings in her most recent Ellen 2 videos, it's not looking too good. In at number 2, Demi Lovato. Demi was one of Disney's most promising stars in the early 2000s. But there were a lot of up and downs happening behind the scenes of her life that no one really knew about. After Demi punched one of her backup dancers in 2010, Demi checked into rehab to address her, quote, emotional and personal issues. Some of those issues include bipolar disorder, an eating disorder, and frequent use of drugs. In her documentary, she opened up about her use of drugs further, saying, quote, I was sneaking it on planes, sneaking it on bathrooms, sneaking it through the night. Nobody knew. It was so bad she came close to ODing multiple times. One of those times was in 2018 when she was rushed to a hospital because she had taken too much. Since then, she's committed to remaining sober and is living a healthy life. And finally, number 1, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is known on television as the woman that spills the tea, and she is one of the most entertaining and shady hosts ever. And one of the things people love most about her is how honest she is with her fans, sharing most of the details of her personal life. But in 2017 is when things started happening. They made it clear there was more going on behind the scenes than we all knew. First, she fainted live on air in 2017, then took weeks off to rest, revealing later that she struggled with Graves' disease for years. Then in March of 2019, she made headlines when she revealed that she was sober after many years of being a functioning drug addict. Then only a few weeks later, it was revealed her and her husband were splitting after his mistress gave birth to a child, revealing later in an interview with Andy Cohen that she knew of her husband's infidelities for years, but she stayed because of her son. Alright everyone, that's all for the list today. Let me know what you're thinking down below, and whose double life shocked you the most. Honestly, I can't even pick. So many of these are just so crazy and terrible, like you would never even think. Like Tiger and TERESA GIUDICE, like it's just insane. But before I head out, I'm gonna shout out some comments for my video on the most inspiring celebrities. Story for Proctor said Keanu Reeves has taken a pay cut so the crew could be paid more. He also rides the bus or subway. He lost his girlfriend and their baby too. Wow, that's crazy. I feel like Keanu Reeves is that person that everyone labels just like the nice guy. Like he goes up there with like Tom Hanks. Hopefully nothing ever comes out about them. I mean, they seem like phenomenal men, but you just never know in these days. But I agree, he definitely could have been on that list. He's great. Then Nicole said, does Shania Twain have a movie about her life? If not, I think it would be a good idea. I think so too. I think there might be, probably not including her most recent stuff with her ex-husband, but her early life, I think so. There should be. She's had such an amazing life, really has had to overcome so much. Then Carl said, Bozeman, you've humbled many of us. I thank you. Hashtag Wakanda forever. Truly, the more that comes out about him, the more it's just like, wow, this guy was just a phenomenal, amazing human being. Alright everyone, that's all for the video today. Let me know what you're thinking down below about it all. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way here, I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I'll see you in the next one.